Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp, as we once again have a look at some of the games coming out for the Switch in this upcoming week. Now, obviously, we didn't make our upcoming series over Christmas because we had our 12 days series going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at any games that may have released for the Switch in that period over the last, week, 10 days say, and then look at any games coming out specifically for the week at hand.
Yeah, I'm joining Glen for this one, which is nice. So we've got some quite comical games to look at and some that might be a little bit more interesting. I think you might enjoy this one. So what games are coming out? Well, let's find out.
So let's start with a few games that did release over that period then, and the first one is Pinball M. Now this comes from Zen Studios. They certainly know what they're doing when it comes to pinball, and their general model is to release a free to download app that goes onto your Switch, sometimes with one table that you'll get for free, on downloading, and obviously you can buy more tables after that. So this new one seems to be completely horror themed, which is right up my alley, I must be saying. And it looks as if the game, the table that you get for free is Wrath of the Elder Gods Director's Cut. There are 3 tables that you can download for a fee of £4.99 or your regional equivalent, being Duke Nukem's Big Shot Pinball, Dead by Daylight Pinball, or The Thing, based on John Carpenter's movie from the 80s. So yeah, that's a great film. That'd be a good pickup, or there's a bundle that you can buy too.
Quality. We also had TEVI from PM Studios, which we're speaking about in another video. I don't know if that's already come out. I can't remember.
It should have by now, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Which is a Metroidvania based on, well, it seems to be based almost a spiritual successor to a game called Rabbi Ribby, which came out a while back. But yeah, I've been really enjoying this. This is surprisingly good. I feel a bit bad for it. It came out at a time where it's difficult to gain attention and traction in that period. But it's got some beautiful artwork in there as well. There's like a scene where you're on the beach and there's all the little like palm trees and stuff, and it just looks lovely. It's got nice fast-paced combat. It's got a Metroid system where you basically unlock new moves to access new areas and things. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, one to certainly add to your wish list if you're a Metroidvania fan and you like the idea of that combined with a JRPG. Another one that has really caught my eye, and I actually might do a full review of this potentially, because it's quite rare now that we see games and we're like, actually I really want to cover that. I really want to. There's one for you next week that you've seen and you're like, yeah, that looks a bit of me.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is called Terra Nil. I saw a trailer for it on the Nintendo YouTube account, and I was like, that looks really interesting. It looks like a mixture of like Settlers, Populous, and something like Black and White. Like you're repopulating this world by the looks of things. Well, I've played about an hour actually, so I know. You're like growing a planet, but it's done in a really seamless way. Like but the irony of it was, I was playing with my daughter, and she was looking, and she's like, "Hang on, you're trying to bring nature back to this planet by putting down loads of machines." I was like, "Yeah, you got a good point there."
It's quite ironic.
Yeah, you got to like put down irrigators and stuff. But it looks a really good game, and hopefully we can bring you more on it. But that's Terra Nil.
Lovely. One other that did come out over that Christmas period was called All of Us Are Dead. What you want over Christmas, that one.
Oh, wow.
So this is a visual novel by the looks of it, based on a webcomic series. Now, it's not a series I know anything about, I must say. And it's set during a high school in Korea after a zombie outbreak. It's fully voiced in Korean and has 12 plus hours of voiced material, and also offers over 100 high quality illustrations, so says the blurb.
Oh, nice. I think we've actually worked with this publisher from Korea before. They're a nice bunch actually, and they're starting to put out some really good games.
Yeah, this does look good. This is the sort of thing I do enjoy, as long as the horror supersedes the romance elements that you sometimes get in such games. But yeah, £16.75 or your regional equivalent. This one, as I said, is already out.
There is one more bonus game that's already out, and it's called The Spy Who Shot Me, and it doesn't look at all good, but it looks a little bit like GoldenEye, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's one of those games that feels the need to tell you in the trailer that it's a parody, just in case you hadn't realised. And it goes for kind of the, 32, maybe 64-bit era graphics, doesn't it? As you say, GoldenEye for sure. Obviously, parodying James Bond while it's at it. You play as Agent 7, of course you do, as he fights the evil Scum organisation. And it's, if we didn't say it already, it's a first-person shooter, of course.
And a parody.
And a parody, yeah, don't forget that, that's important. This one is £7.19, and one of its selling points are those lovely pointy polygons.
I do love pointy polygons.
Pointy polygons are the best polygons.
Of all of them.
So the first of this week's games then is Gates of the Mind. This calls itself a 2D hardcore platformer, which will see your reactions tested in a number of different levels and boss fights.
It has a slightly janky art style, let's be completely honest. It has that slightly inverse kinematic motion that can look a bit cheap. But I also do feel like there's something in here.
Yeah, as long as that animation doesn't affect the platforming, you know, obviously that would be a slight concern for me. But it does also mention that it's non-linear in terms of the solution, so maybe it's a bit more puzzly than it's letting on in terms of the blurb. It's not the longest blurb in the world, I'm going to be honest.
But they do have a demo, so, you know, if you actually want to know, you can just download the demo and give it a bash.
Yeah, for sure. This one releases on the 6th. It's going to sell for £13.49 or your regional equivalent, but it does have 21%, very specific, off of that price up until launch day.
Then there's one that's genuinely looking very good, and it's called Cynthia, Hidden in the Moon Shadow, which releases on the 10th. It comes from a team called Kathia Games, which I've never heard of before. But this looks nice. I can see the influences they've taken. Obviously, some of the artwork from things like Breath of the Wild. It looks like some of the gameplay mechanics. What's the name of that series on PlayStation where there's all the dinosaurs and stuff? I bought you a figure for it for your Lego set.
Oh, Horizon.
Horizon. It looks to have a lot of the Horizon mechanics.
Yes, yeah.
You can see her creeping through the grass. The way the bow kind of readies up. They've taken some influences here.
Yeah, for sure. Even with the bow in the grass, again, you mentioned Breath of the Wild, the way that you can kind of set yourself and then you have that kind of explosion of power as you're about to shoot. Definitely some inspiration there, as you say. I also felt there was a bit of Prince of Persia in there in terms of like the wall climbing and things like that as well. It seems to be a nice little hybrid for, you know, potentially, as long as, you know, the product is worth it still. But yeah, that price is pretty decent.
It's an insane price, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, like 11 quid for 3D games are expensive to make at the best of times. So yeah, £11. If this turns out to be all right, like, yeah, nice.
So yeah, it's selling for £12.59, but it does have a 10% discount up until the 17th, I believe it was, of January.
Power was coming from the north. It's on the shoulders of a young huntress to assemble powerful artifacts and attempt to destroy the source of the dark power. Hector!
There's a very nice little strategy puzzle type game with little dioramas called Panorama from Awakened Realms. Now, unfortunately, on here at least, there's no trailer, but you can kind of get an idea of, you know, how it's going to work. It's like a hexagonal, almost like a board game / strategy.
Yeah. I think it's one of those where every time you lay a tile or one of your kind of hexes, it will interact with ones that you lay it near, and that may well then change the landscape around you or create new buildings to spawn from the combination you've made, you know?
Yeah, I really like these actually. I find these very relaxing when they're done well. And it, you know, things like performance and stuff are all okay. I wonder how that puzzle element works, you know.
It will be interesting to see. It does make a big point of mentioning relaxation and a soothing gameplay experience, which for me is absolutely fine. Not every puzzle game needs to make you tear your hair out, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Tear your hair out.
Well, you know.
Is he having a laugh?
tear something. Metaphorical hair, absolutely. Yeah, this one releases on the 11th.
And it's $17.99, which I have to say is quite a little bit of bunts.
It does seem a bit steep, so as I said, yeah, it depends, I suppose, how much game you're getting for your money.
And finally, we've got Shinorubi. This looks like a shmup with some slightly, I'm not going to say misleading artwork, but we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yes, pretty risque, let's say.
Yeah.
It's one of those games where, you know, the thumbnail will draw some people in, I'm sure, only to see that there aren't an abundance of arses through the rest of the game. You have been tricked, unlucky. But no, it does look like a decent shooter though, to be fair. Inspired by Japanese shoot-'em-up arcade games, Shinorubi looks to combine the best aspects of bullet hell and manic shooter genres, so says that blurb.
Yeah, it's funny because these very often don't get much traction. Like, they have a hardcore audience, but a lot they haven't got that like mass appeal shmups. But they're incredibly enjoyable.
They are, yeah. I'm not a huge one for bullet hell shooters myself. I think there's almost, you know, that's a whole different genre within a genre, if you like. because you just have to be an absolute Jedi to get through them, and I'm not a Jedi, I'm afraid. I followed the dark side. So, but no, I do love shoot 'em ups, though. You know, more for the fun of playing them than for expecting to ever be good at them. You know.
I do. No, I do.
This one has 8 playable ships, 5 difficulty modes, and 12 arranged modes, you know, caravan mode, that sort of thing. And this one is another one that sells for £17.99, and as Mark said, it's out on the 12th.
Lovely stuff. If you are watching this on YouTube, then nice one. Make sure you subscribe and stick around. If you're listening to it on our podcast, which is a thing, links to that in the description. Well, hello, basically, because you're one of like 150 people.
Yeah, absolutely right. Don't forget, if you are looking for eShop credit to pick any of these games up, you can use our website, switchup.gg. Getting your eShop cards on there will get you 5% back in cashback off your purchase price, and another 5% straight discount if you use the code SwitchUp. And there's also a link down there to Play Asia if you're looking to import any games. I don't think it will do you any good for these particular games, but if you are interested, use the link, use the code stated, and you get yourself 5% off your order from there. A quick thank you to our patrons and our channel members for your continued support, and to each and every one of you for watching our videos. Take care, and until next time, happy gaming.